What's happening? It's Jasiah, and today has been a day of living. And in my journey as being a human and my evolution, that is a huge win. Like, a huge win. I come from so much survival. Like, so much survival. So the fact that I'm able to sit here and say that I'm genuinely living, whew, can we just take a minute and appreciate and celebrate the fact that I'm here today operating not from survival, not from scarcity, not from fear, but instead of all of that, I'm operating out of living. I'm operating out of trusting. I'm operating out of abundance and not being fearful that, like, it sounds so simple, but it is, and it was such a journey to get to where I'm at when it comes to having trust in myself and my capabilities, to where I'm able to show up in any day, in any moment, as the version of myself that knows everything that I want is genuinely mine. And it seems so, like, simple to say, like, oh, if you want it or if it's already yours, then you don't have to stress, right? It seems so simple, but there's a difference when you are convincing yourself that everything you want is already yours, compared to when you actually feel it, when you don't even try to make yourself believe, but instead you just have this unshakable feeling, and that unshakable feeling is tied to your worth. So my unshakable feeling that everything that I want is already mine is tied directly to my worth. And my worth is tied directly to my self-concept and that of what I value in myself. And I value so much in myself, and I value so much of my self-concept. And as easy as it sounds to say out loud, it was a very difficult journey for me to get here, to where I truly believe that everything I want is already mine. I would always say it, and I would always just fake it till I made it, or just try to convince myself. And that's a part of the journey as well. But at one point, you do have to just put everything that you have into that sliver of belief that you have in yourself, until it's no longer a sliver, but it's your life. And I wish somebody told me that, because I just sat around waiting. And if we're being truthful, I just got out of that waiting period. And I'm honestly actively still working towards it. I'm human. I'm not gonna sit here and act as if I know everything and I've figured everything out, because the purpose of these videos that I make are to watch my evolution and watch my thought process and watch how it evolves, but also just be able to see my growth, but also see where I'm at mentally and do check-ins with myself. So where I'm at right now is, like, I'm no longer trying to convince myself that everything I want is mine, but I know that everything I want is mine, and I'm acting out of that space. And I'm no longer waiting for anything outside of me to confirm that I am right where I need to be, doing right what I need to be doing. And I'm not waiting for anything outside of me to confirm that right now is the perfect time to go for everything that I want. Because I know that the confirmation, the validation that I need is me, is my worth, is how I, excuse me, confirmation. how I look at myself in the mirror, and I know that all that I am right now is not even just enough, but it's more than enough to get me into the spaces, the places, and the rooms that I want to be in. So if that's the case, why would I wait to do everything that I desire, to do everything that I want? Because I don't have a good camera, because I don't have the car that I want, because I'm not living where I want to live. Those are all external. Those all change, and they are subject to change in an instant. So what's not subject to change, and what is in my control, is my character, my consistency, how I show up. So if that's the case, then baby, I'm gonna show up every day, aligning my actions, my decisions with that version of myself that I desire to become. Because I'm not waiting around for anyone's permission to go after the dream life that I'm desiring for myself. And no one even knows the vision that I hold for my dream life. So I can't expect anyone outside of me to not only just believe in me, not only just to support me, not only just to simply tell me, oh, you got it, keep going, but I can't expect anyone outside of me to simply just understand the magnitude of just how much that I want for myself. Because someone can support you, and someone can tell you that you got it, and someone can believe in you, but nobody but you can genuinely give yourself the permission to go after everything that you desire and truly believe that everything you desire wants you back and is made for you. But here's the thing, if it wasn't made for you, why inside of your heart do you feel such a strong passion to go after it? And everything inside of you logically is fighting you going after that. That's because we're human, and it's so normal for us to feel as though many things are not obtainable because we are minuscule in this huge universe. But guess what? What's not minuscule is our authenticity, is who we are, is how we show up. That's not minuscule. That the size of our essence, the size of who we are, the size of our energy is determined by us. We determine just how much of a ripple effect that we are going to create in this universe. We decide that. And we can't simply just tone down our worth, tone down who we are, tone down anything that makes us who we are to make anybody else comfortable. And that is so, so, so important. And you need to remember that, my love. If anybody is uncomfortable within your space when you're just being you and you are a trigger, that's what you're meant to be for them in their reality. Just as if you are just being you and they feel supported and they feel loved, you're meant to be love in their reality. You can never, ever change your reality, how you show up, your values, your morals, the person that you are for anybody around you or for your environment. Because at the end of the day, you're letting your environment win. You're letting the external change the internal, and it will never, ever be that. It's your internal will change the external. So stop waiting for pause, because I need to look at the camera when I say this. You do not need permission to go after everything that you desire, because everything that you desire has been placed upon your heart because it is made for you to achieve it. It's made for you to execute it. However, when you're in this reality, in this physical dimension, you start to create such physical ties to materialism, to relationships, to traumas, that you get cloudy vision. But I'm here to remind you that even when the vision is cloudy, even when you lack clarity, that moment will serve its purpose to get you to where you know you're meant to be. But no one knows where you're meant to be but you, and that of what you believe in. Whether that's the source, the universe, God, your angels, or just a higher power that you don't even know the name of. You have a calling, you have a desire, you have a purpose, you have a destiny, whatever you want to call it. It's calling you, ding, ding, ding. Are you gonna pick up, or are you just gonna keep snoozing it and then continue going on about your regular day-to-day job and your regular day-to-day school and your regular day-to-day activities and just keep snoozing that feeling that you have? There's no way you're going to ever feel fulfilled until you go towards that feeling. There's a literal bird like hovering over where I'm recording. Oh, confirmation. What you feel is calling you so bad is the same feeling that does not enable you to be at peace when you're at your job. This bird is like flying so close to me, and I love birds, and I don't want to say I'm scared, but like, girl. But that same feeling that is calling you, that purpose, that desire that's calling you, is the same reason that you don't feel at peace when you're at work, when you're at school, when you're minimizing yourself to fit your environment's necessities, I want to say, because you have convinced yourself that your environment is requiring those necessities. You need the job. You need school to get to where you want to go. You need that relationship. When in reality, if you tune into yourself and you get to understand who you are, and you get to understand what fulfills you, and you get to understand what makes you happy. And it sounds so simple, and it is that simple. It really is. We overcomplicate it as humans. But the problem that is so common is we tend to create these boxes and these requirements for ourselves because the outside world influence us to believe that it is black and white, that it is mandatory in order to get to one place in your life that you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do this. When we literally live in a society and a generation where it's the easiest to make your own anything. If you feel as though you need to fit in a box, you need to question, why do you feel that you need to fit in that box? Why do you feel as though you need to limit yourself and who you are to one singular career, and that will define your whole life? Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel as though your fulfillment will come from the title of your career? And why do you feel as though how much money you make will be just how much you're worth? Because your worth will never, ever, ever, ever be tied to anyone else but you. You define your worth. You define where you go. You define what you do. And so really, I just really flowed into this, and I'm just here to say, like, you don't need permission to go after anything in life, but you definitely, definitely deserve to have a self-concept of your worth that will not only take you to where you desire to be, but further, because you will obtain it, but will you sustain it? Yes, baby, you will sustain it. Sustain it? Whoa. I meant sustain it. But, I mean, if you don't sustain that of what you obtain, then that in itself also serves a purpose. Now, lastly, how do you know when to quit? When you no longer have peace in the environments, in the places, in the spaces that you are putting yourself into, that's when you know it's time to quit. That's when you know it's time to let it go, and that's when you know it's no longer fulfilling its purpose in your life, when there's so much turmoil. Like when you are at a job and all you can think of is getting off work and pursuing that craft that lights you up, or you can't wait to get out of school so that you can create, whether that's music, whether that's videos, whether that's painting, whether that's coloring, whatever it is, that gives you a spark and you just simply cannot wait to do it when you're done doing what you feel is necessary, because I promise you it's not necessary. You've conditioned yourself to believe it's necessary, and that's okay. That's the point of life. Like, and I'm not gonna say that's the point of life because it's not. It's not the point of life to create these necessities and these conditions on ourselves, but it is the point of life to come to the understanding that we create exactly what we believe. So if you believe that that job is necessary, if you believe that it is required that you go to school to obtain a degree so that you can get to where you want to go, then that's exactly what you're going to be shown in life. We create just what we believe. So you cannot ask for permission for when it's time to quit or when it's time to finally let that go, because we have a nervous system and we have this straight literal primal instinct within us that's either fight or flight. So it's, you either fight that battle every day of trying to find peace in a work environment that you outgrew, or you finally call it quits and you flight, you leave, because you know that you won't find peace in that work environment and there's something bigger calling you. So you let that go. And you know what you get in letting that go is finally coming to the realization and understanding for yourself that that environment is no longer worth the fight. So you're going to flight and find another environment that won't be fight, but instead just existing in love and peace. You will continue to get these obstacles, because if you don't, you're not evolving, but the obstacles will be a direct reflection of what you believe you're worthy of. So you will level up your obstacles to be in alignment with the version of yourself that you know you are becoming, rather than obstacles that are not aligned with the version of yourself that you are truly desiring to become. And this construction in the back is really just a sign that you need to build, baby. And I'm talking to myself when I say this. Every single time I put up a camera and I speak, I'm not talking to simply one person, or I'm not talking to simply a collective. I want to say I'm talking to a version of myself that wishes he heard this in the past, because that is what life is about. You want to make sure you are embodying a version of yourself that you know a past version, a last version of yourself would have wished to have heard from. Like 2 years ago, I wish I could have talked to myself the way I'm talking to myself in these videos I'm making, because I know that the trajectory of my life would have just, you feel me? So the point is when you know when it's time to quit. And if you don't, then just stay a little bit longer until that peace is no longer peace. And that's the thing. It seems so complicated, like that doesn't give me an answer, but it does. If you're in an environment where you simply just are going mad, you're going crazy, you're hating it, no matter how much you try to glamorize it, no matter how much you try to make it fit for you, it's not fitting. You think it's still time to stay there, or you think it's time to quit and put the faith, the trust, the love, the light that you have within yourself into you, and that of which is higher than you? So that's how you know when it's time to quit. When it's no longer worth it. When showing up every day is no longer worth losing your sanity. If you have to show up every day and somehow find a way to glamorize the situation to feel at peace, and you have to find a way to feel sane, baby, let me tell you, it's time to quit. It's time to quit. Anything that disrupts your sanity, anything that disrupts your peace, anything that disrupts you feeling as though you're right where you need to be doing, right what you need to be doing, at the right place, at the right time, you need to quit. You need to let it go, because that fight is a fight that is serving no purpose into getting you to where you know you're meant to be. So this is a love letter to not just myself, but to everyone who decides to take time to hear it for themselves, because I wish these words would have hit me, and I wish these words would have came to me a couple years later, because boy, would I have been somewhere completely different. But I know everything happens for a reason. Everything serves its purpose. And so that's why I'm here giving this out now. But to my point, let it go. Let it be. Mwah, 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 mwah. It will all work out, not in the way you want it, but in the way it's meant to work out. So let it. Stop creating your own resistance. Mwah, 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 mwah. Later, loves. You got my heart. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Ah! Okay.